Hello, my name is Dennis Shepherd and I'd like to welcome you here to my backyard. I live in South Perth in Western Australia and we're just heading now towards the end of winter. And I've got a lovely balmy afternoon here, winter's afternoon. It's a little bit cloudy, but nonetheless quite a very pleasant afternoon to be reading and contemplating poetry. So welcome along. I would like to read what for me is one of the most meaningful poems I've written. It is essentially a poem about calibrating one's mind. It is a poem that speaks to going beyond the normal way we live our lives and into a real understanding of what we are about. It is a poem that helps to illuminate the process of life and to wake us up into the absolute truth of the present moment. It seems to be that our lives are lived inside our minds, with what we see as ourselves being reflected from the different conditions that inhabit what it is we call our mind. In effect, our lives are lived essentially as a captive, reflecting how our minds have developed and evolved. Mostly we reflect from the conditions of the mind, so that we can develop and make judgments on how to live and relate to others. Very often the process remains an instinctual one, a blind process which underlines and highlights our connection to the animal world. Self-reflection is very limited in the animal world, with animals living their lives in an almost completely instinctual way. Animal consciousness seems not yet to have developed to the level of self-reflection that it is possible for humans to engage in. However, on the other hand, very few human beings know how to use their self-reflective ability anyway, an ability that can make them free. And this is where calibration comes in to help. Calibration is an important part of any meaningful experiment. The results of an experiment will not make any sense at all if the apparatus has not been calibrated correctly. We need to have an accurate and meaningful readout of the data being produced. Usually this means having a standard to calibrate the data to, and in the first instance, having a standard that we can have confidence in. When our data relates to a known standard, then proper inferences and conclusions can be observed. So it is with meditation. We concentrate, refine and clarify the mind so we can sharpen the insight into ourselves. It is in effect a calibration process that takes us from here to there without us getting lost. We calibrate the standards so that it takes us from our day-to-day lives deep into the mind, so we can learn to understand how it is we have arrived at where we are. A good meditator will know the energy levels present in the mind, whether it is coarse or refined, obvious or subtle, still or turbulent. We learn to read and experience the shape and quality of our life, and we start to see how we interact with and create the relationships with the energy that's in our minds. Energy that aggregates to make us and the conditions of our life real. Our egos form and we create relationships with each other. Relationships with each other and the physical world that forms all around us. All of this magic happens and it is all contained in our minds, which has an infinite range of possibilities. It is here that we can use our self-reflection to good effect and notice our own mind and its boundaries. The calibration process provides for us wayside markers so we can learn and train the mind to go in a direction of insight and wisdom, uncovering the layers that hide us from the truth that is there. With experience, this wisdom can start to discern the very background, the matrix that makes up the mind when it is completely still. I am talking here about the background against which our lives play out, the space or emptiness that allows the form of our lives to be shaped in. When the resonance of this background is noticed, it does become a very useful calibration datum for us to see our lives against. The energy of this datum is pure consciousness itself. It is the very basis of our insight into our personal world and the entire universe. These fungible packets of pure consciousness are the building blocks for everything we know. They build up into a wave of narrative that we cling to as our lives. In the end, we do not see the fungible nature of what it is that we are holding. It is very important for a meditator to get to know what this pure consciousness is, because it is the ultimate datum for understanding what life is. It is the beginning and the end of the universe. Everything in existence is born from it and will die back into it. And yet this pure consciousness is itself a condition. That is why it is essential for a truth seeker to know all about it, because it is only when we are mindful of it that we can notice when it too finishes. It is only then possible for us to know what the unconditioned is. It is only then that we can truly witness and know the beauty and peace of what the Buddha knows. This is the ultimate goal for a Buddhist practitioner, to be born into the unconditioned, a place where consciousness is finished. The unconditioned heralds the end of birth and death. It is a place that can be known, and it is a place where the unconditioned truth lives. So once again, this poem is called Calibration of Life. When I compare my experience with what is good and bad, I'm noticing a difference to make me sad or glad. I objectify things and act depending on what I perceive, to suit me best based on what I believe. Love and hate can both keep my heart rate high, while birth and death can bring a teary eye. While an extrovert may make an introvert look shy, age may slow, while the young will reach for the sky. Fame will condition infamy if I try to glorify my name, while loss may bring me heartache and make me strive for gain. Roughness will generate smooth as an experience to try. Riches can make me happy, while poverty may make me cry. Life's duality feedback difference for me to discriminate. My ongoing conditioning deciding what it is I appreciate. Popular views will tell me what's best to accumulate. Perhaps an oblivious life lived without truth in mind to calibrate. How to decide what is truth's bottom line? Only the heart of this moment shows the stillness so prime. This stillness lets me see knowing beyond my intentions, where space always resonates with past and future tensions. This infinite space rings to give pure consciousness a mould, to energise my life and provide a story to be told. Calibrating is essential to understand my being, to see the right pathway and then enable my freeing. Calibrating a scale provides a reference datum for an accurate reading that must be verbatim, read directly from the benchmark set, so I know that a truthful standard is being met. Using stillness and space for this touchstone's perspective lets the tensions unravel without being subjective. Space with its stillness and pure consciousness known, the first and last condition that the universe has grown. When this clarity comes, freedom's pathway becomes clear. The reference provides discipline, which at first may seem austere. But as the fullness and richness of the moment appears, the direction is obvious, moving past all my fears. Calibration has given me the chance to know the dis-ease that lifetimes of conditioning can grow, relative truths which are bound to disappoint, ongoing lives lived without a reference point. Finally, the perspective seen using wisdom's treasure allows a calibration back to the stillness as a measure. Then right insight into the unconditioned beyond space and time, or bring an enlightened view to give me freedom sublime.